What's up?
Hi there.
Tyler, Keith, Frank, Billy.
Aye.
We're here to talk about Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
the 21st film in the MCU.
The other captains.
Yeah. There's like 3 of them now.
Captain, my captain.
Sitting with a captain.
Hashtag not my captain.
Hey. I mean, fair enough.
Yeah. This is the first Captain Marvel movie. The first we've seen Brie Larson in the MCU. And yeah, it was interesting to see how this is going to work, because this is, kind of an origin movie in a way, and it's so deep into the MCU at this point. Avengers Endgame's the next movie, so what's going to happen? And I don't know, personally, I went in with very low expectations just because the trailers didn't do much for me. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think the trailers really did this movie justice.
Mm-hmm.
It showed probably the lowest moments of the movie, to be honest.
I think it's probably a good thing. They kept a lot of the good stuff for the actual movie, which is a rare thing for a trailer to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Especially talk about a trailer that just came out, the Dark Phoenix trailer, which spoils probably one of the biggest parts of the movie in the trailer. Which I get. They need to get people interested in those movies again, but that's neither here nor there. Because we're talking about Captain Marvel, not the probably last X-Men movie.
Yeah. So we're going to keep it high level, and then we'll maybe get into some spoilers later. What'd you guys think? I agree with your assessment, Frank, when we were leaving the theater, that this is potentially the best Marvel origin film. At least there with Iron Man.
Yes, absolutely.
I totally agree with that. They did this really, really well. And it was kind of a different way to do it. It wasn't straightforward, boring origin story like we've seen so many times with superhero movies.
Yeah, it jumped around and played a lot with the universe
Mm-hmm.
in it, within that origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's not like another person making a Batman film where you have to show the parents dying in some weird stupid way. It's like how with Spider-Man they didn't go in with Uncle Ben again and all that stuff. This went straight into it. Mm-hmm. And it revealed the story of somewhat obscure Marvel character. Most people that are just going out to see the movies aren't necessarily people reading the comics. So it does a fine job of explaining her as a character and how she grew to be there. Origin movie stuff.
Yeah.
I think probably the single best thing this movie does, and again with no spoilers, is that it kind of just takes a lot of expectations that of things and just events that you can preconceived notions you might have had ahead of time, and just kind of flips them on its head. Probably the least spoilery one, because it does happen in this movie, is how Nick Fury loses his eye. It's they've set it up as this big thing, and it's more of a gag, and I'm I like that. It's a sort of the main conflict of the movie, sort of like that. But I like the tone. I think they Marvel's been doing a great job of this, at balancing the serious stuff and the funny stuff. And I think Brie Larson was really good at kind of straddling that line of just deadpan humor, of just this sort of very almost just cold delivery, but it just works for the character and for the situation. So definitely that was definitely a surprise. But yeah, special effects. Special effects look great in the movie. There's a couple parts that are super trippy that I wasn't expecting, and I'm but yeah.
Yeah, and I think they had to me, Captain Marvel's a harder sell than some of these lesser known Marvel characters that we've seen, like Black Panther or Ant-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, they're all well known now that they have movies out that make millions and billions of dollars. But Captain Marvel, they had to really sell a lot of people, because a lot of people going into this movie is going to have no clue who the hell she is and what does she do and what's her story. And they just did a really good job setting up. At first, maybe 15 minutes, I was like, what the hell is going on? It was just kind of confusing. And then basically once she lands on Earth, then I think the movie really started to take off. It really found its footing, and I was like, okay, this is, you know, I'm locked in. This is a good Marvel movie. But then they kept bringing in her backstory through like different flashbacks. But then eventually, when they unfold like the entire thing, I thought that was a very where they put it in the movie and the way they did it and what came directly after it is probably one of my favorite stretches of this whole movie. It was really, really well done and definitely better than a lot of the origin stories. And I ended up really liking Brie Larson. You know, like I said, the trailers, she just didn't come across super exciting in the trailers. But
when you watch the movies and the scenes that those trailers are from, you kind of understand why she looks the way she does. But then it kind of creates a confusion of, oh, why is this part of the trailer then?
Yeah. But overall, like, I thought she did a good job. I mean, she's not my favorite character in the MCU for sure, but you know, she was well done. Really good at action scenes.
Yeah,
they were really well done as well.
Yeah, and I think what they did best with those action scenes is showcasing what Captain Marvel is and what Captain Marvel does, and I think they've done a good job that making sure that whatever's left after Avengers Endgame, that they do have a front person that can lead whatever remains of the Avengers after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they do a fantastic job. So this movie's set before I think any of the movies.
95.
Yeah, 95.
Yeah, and I was just so surprised how smart and how well done a lot of the things were that tied into the first Avengers and then even to Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like just little things here and there that you go, oh, I see now. And it makes sense. It all makes sense, you know? They didn't shoehorn anything in. You know, that's something that I imagine is hard to do 21 movies into an overall story. It's crazy.
There has to be some guy with a frantic notepad.
Yeah.
Somewhere hidden away that's there to check and make sure this is all coming together.
Yeah, I would love to see.
It's all up on a corkboard with all the strings and the pins and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The guy sitting there like 10 cups of coffee in, he was like, "Wait!"
It's like there's got to be a way to do this.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, also like the MCU has had a figurehead in Kevin Feige this entire time. Something that DC just really lacked from the start. You know, somebody with that vision of this is what the fuck we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to fucking
these are the boundaries that for each movie that we can't really cross. But I think they played within that boundary very well here.
Yeah, my only kind of nitpicky thing that really stood out to me is for the most part, I think this movie looks good. There's some really shoddy, just not the greatest CG at times.
Yeah.
Like, I think more so than a lot of Marvel movies. Like, there's the very first scene when she goes into the, oh god, the thingamabob that she puts on her head. Superior intelligence, yeah. And she's just standing there, and I'm like, wow, this doesn't look the greatest. Or when the fucking ship flies out of that cave, that like cave base, that shield base the first time, I'm like, oh my goodness.
The one thing that I noticed was when some of the like not when she's fully powered up, but kind of a bit later, but a lot of times when she would like have like I guess her mask or helmet on or whatever, it's like when you can tell that there's like they did try to incorporate her into this, you know, this very CG looking thing, and I'm just like, okay, like I get what you're saying, but like
get a little bit of Green Lantern vibes from it.
I think for the most part it was good, but there was a few moments like there, especially like again the stuff where like they knew anything where it's like this has to look great. It looked great.
Yes.
Like especially like the whole ending sequence, but
and how I was just gonna say really quick, nothing as bad as the end of Avengers Infinity War with Hulk. Remember that? Just fucking the head. Oh, it was so bad looking. I can't unsee that.
Yeah, I'm just amazed at how they managed to keep Samuel L. Jackson looking young.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
He's also, I actually liked him in this movie.
Me too.
He was legitimately funny, and
Me too.
he was. Because I,
I
feel
mean,
like
this is when he's like a lot younger, and Nick Fury's a lot younger and isn't like all grizzled and.
Yeah, I guess. So it's just like, I mean, they could have still just made him like a little more. I just feel like a lot of the quips worked. I mean, especially him and anytime him and Goose, the cat, are in the scene together, it's great because it's just like it's Sam Jackson just going nuts, and I'm like,
I mean, he can act. He's fantastic.
it's just that this is that I feel like a lot of people just cast him and just be like, yeah, just do what you do.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of like
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
snakes on a plane. What? But
Yeah, he was great in this movie, and his dynamic with Brie Larson was fantastic as well.
Yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about that. It's just I think that it's a shame that we probably won't see much more Samuel L. Jackson.
he's gonna be in Spider-Man. He's gonna be in the new Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
But like his time in this
Oh, yeah,
universe is
probably.
very limited.
Right,
Like there are
probably.
very few things that they can do with him now.
yeah.
I also think this movie does a good job of answering the question of why hasn't Captain Marvel been in any of these movies so far.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one could say that it's kind of a lame reason or whatever, but I think
She has shit
they
to do.
wrote that in well. She was on an important mission.
Yeah,
You
and the
know?
way they wrote it in, it makes me like almost as excited for the next Captain Marvel movie as I am for Endgame.
Yeah.
Because I just want to see her going out there and kick some butt.
Mm-hmm. They
Because
they left that open to where like the next movie could be, what she's setting off to do at the end. I was kind of surprised how the movie I was like, wow, this is the end.
Yeah.
It just kind of stopped. But at the same time, I was enjoying it so much that I kind of didn't want it to end.
yeah, going into that, I was not expecting just the amount of humor that was just sprinkled out like throughout the entire movie.
Mhm.
And it's one of the few movies where I feel like all of the jokes landed.
Just about.
It was like all really well written.
And a lot of the comedy works well because of the acting, and a lot of it is nonverbal stuff too. You see a lot of it in there, and that hits very well.
Mm-hmm. Ever since Age of Ultron, Marvel has gotten so much better with humor.
Age of Ultron's the worst. I think Age of Ultron's like the only movie where it's like I think it's bad, where like
Yeah.
they try to be funny,
Yeah,
and it's objectively bad.
yeah.
Like,
But like these recent movies, like especially Infinity War, such a serious movie, was really funny at times.
Yeah,
Like,
and
really hilarious. I mean, it
Ant-Man,
worked.
of course, was
Mhm. Thor Ragnarok's a great example.
Yeah.
As well.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man's another
Yeah.
really good one.
All of them. They do a good job with that stuff. Also, it's not like something that's going to be stuck in my head all the time. But when you're watching it, I think the soundtrack works really well with this movie. And at times, especially there's a scene when they're just flying around and ships and all sorts of stuff, and I'm like, man, I kind of feel in a weird way that I'm watching a Star Wars movie. Like the score is pumping and all this stuff, and it's this big orchestrated thing, and like, cool, I like this.
Yeah, when that
Feels
ship
good.
flying scene was going on, I was like, this is the best Star Wars TIE fighter scene I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Like, it had all the hallmarks of, like, an actual TIE fighter scene where it's, like, there's shots of them, of the pilots, them, and their facial expressions as they're, like, pulling all these maneuvers and stuff.
Mhm.
And I was like, what movie am I watching right now? It is so well done.
yeah. You guys got anything else, or maybe just talk some spoilers?
Not really.
What would you guys give this movie out of 10?
Out of 10, I forgot the scale that we use here.
Out of 15.
Sometimes it's out of whatever you want. It can even be out of apples. What's your score out of 19 apples? Let's just
Out
do
of
that.
19 apples. I'll give this a good 16 out of 19 apples.
Wow, okay.
If
I
this,
was gonna give it like a 17 out of 19 apples. If we're going at that kind of scale.
if this were one apple, I would eat at least half of the core included.
Whoa.
All right.
That's a lot of the apple.
That's
I
a
would
lot
eat.
of apple. Yeah.
How about them apples?
I'd give it about 41 out of 45 apples. I have a lot of apples.
Wow, just changing the scale
Just
all
all
over
over
here.
the place.
You, the listener
You
slash
get
viewer,
to try to figure out how to decipher that.
But
try
I
to.
think we all like it.
But how many aren't?
I honestly think it's one
I
of
mean,
my.
I think we average out at a Metacritic score of around 89
89.
between
Yeah.
all of us.
I mean, I really, I think it's one of my more favorite Marvel movies. Especially, I don't know, I just really liked it, like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so tough because that top 10 especially is really strong. You know, just trying to determine if this sits in the top 10. I think it needs a little bit more time, maybe even seeing it again. So
Yeah.
it's a cool movie, but I wouldn't disagree with you.
This makes me
It's
beg
good.
the question of, is it right to try to watch this Avengers, this MCU in chronological order? Is it worth it to try
Like
to
the-
interpret it that
Like,
way?
like
The
watch,
timeline
Yeah.
itself.
like watch Captain America and then watch this and then, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Then you can watch the Ang Lee Hulk, even though that one only kind of half counts,
Mm,
and then just go nuts with it.
yeah.
Let's get
Spoilers.
this- Yeah, let's do that.
Spoilers, yeah. You were talking about bad CG. That the one scene where they're like flying through space and she was like fighting all the fighters that they were sending out. I felt like a lot of it was fast paced and it just didn't look okay.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
also, I have another gripe. The fight choreography, like in the very early bits where it's like close up, like quick cut fights. I do not like that. I want like old school Hong Kong style kung fu fighting. Those are the type of fighting scenes that I enjoy. And
We're talking like Old Boy, or like what are we talking here?
just go to any season of Daredevil, find the scene where they're fighting
Find
in
the
a hallway.
fight scene.
Find the hallway because that's just a pure homage to like
Yeah.
real kung fu like movies.
I feel like there was a lot of things, especially in like that first thing when she's like captured, and was like, it seemed like a lot of the shots were like some shots went on like a little while long. It's like you probably wanted to do a single take, but then you're like, ooh, this doesn't. Maybe we need to fix it up. I thought it was fine. I think maybe the biggest thing, which I was talking about, the flipping expectations, is how even just in this movie and then in the MCU as a whole, how even though Marvel didn't do this, how a lot of the fans built up the Skrull to be the big new villain who's going to
Yeah.
push things going forward, and then they're not. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
they're
I
definitely not.
love that.
I did not expect that at all.
I didn't, and I'm like, well, the second, like, because I kind of figured that she wouldn't be on board with the Kree, because, I mean, Ronan the Accuser,
Mhm.
I mean, he's a character who's in this movie for a bit, and, was badly in Guardians, but I'm like, okay, he's a bad guy, so, I mean, she's got to not be friends with them after a while, so I'm like, well, maybe, and I was kind of maybe thinking, like, what's his face? I guess his name's Talos, the main Skrull guy, that he was going to, like, betray her, and then they showed his family. I'm like, oh, this is legit. He's not a bad guy. I mean, through one manner of speaking, but I was like, I really like this.
Yeah.
This is a
That
cool
was a good
idea.
moment. Yeah, one of my favorite moments is the scene right after they unfold, the whole backstory of her flying and the doctor being a Kree and all that stuff, and this core. Right after that, she's being like, I don't even know who I am, sort of thing, and with the Ben Mendelsohn, the Skrull guy, and her friend, like that whole thing was really well done. Just great acting there. One of those just kind of like a gut punch sort of thing. It's just well done.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of the post-credit sequence?
Which
The
one?
first one.
Okay.
First one.
Because this is kind of the direct tie into Endgame.
I mean, I liked it. It's just, it feels a little weird for that to be, like, I figured it would be something maybe along those lines, but, like, I don't know. I feel like that should have been something that happens in Endgame. Now, I guess maybe it still could, but, like,
Yeah.
it just feels like that's a big plot point to just kind of throw in an end credit scene. If like, you know what I mean?
I wish she didn't actually show up.
Yeah, that's
That
mainly
was the
it.
thing,
Like,
because just the suspense there, I was like, okay, this is cool. How's this going? What's going to happen?
I mean, I feel like that that end credit scene should have ended on them pressing send on the communicator, and yeah, like I said, she shouldn't have been there. Like she shouldn't have shown up yet. I feel like it should have been like they sent the message through the communicator, and
Because how powerful a moment would that be in Endgame when she shows up the first time?
I mean, who knows?
You know what I mean?
It could maybe, but it's only
That'd
like
still be cool.
it's weird. It's a weird thing because, like, I mean, I guess it still technically could happen in Endgame but it's like
but then it's like wrapping over stuff that's already out there.
also in Endgame, at least the one thing, Steve Rogers ain't got his beard, so continuity issues. But I mean, who knows? I mean, granted, it's.
I mean, when half your friends die, he
Oh, yeah.
kind of, you know,
He
maybe,
got rid of
maybe he
it.
just needed to clean himself up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, granted, at this point, you know, Marvel knows if people are going to sit around and wait for the end credit scene, they're just about as much as part of the movie as everything else.
Yeah.
So maybe what I just said of like why that seems like a weird place to put it shouldn't even count anymore. Like it's just like it's a part of the movie. It's just, you know.
You say that after watching that second end credits.
Second one.
Which is a little bit gross. I'm not gonna lie.
Of just the cat, Goose,
Who
throwing up the Tesseract.
Who ate the Tesseract earlier in the film? Which
Yeah.
I was like,
What a shocking moment when that happens. Just these tentacles just come out of this cat's face and eats the Tesseract, and
then
then
he
later
eats-
eats a bunch of dudes. I'm like,
he eats a bunch
What?
of Kree, and I'm just like,
this is awesome. The cat is such a great character in this movie, and I would have never expected that a cat would play such a large role in an MCU as a whole. When you think about it,
yeah. I mean,
and that's how Nick Fury loses his eye.
cat scratches his eye. I'm like,
Yeah,
man.
Hey, that'll do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
you get
it's
your
just
eye
like-
see that
infected.
coming.
It's just like that's what I
Cat's
mean.
got-
It's like you expect it's
Yeah.
like it's some big thing, like he gets shot in the face, but
Yeah.
it's like no, he just gets. I'm like, all right, that's
And
pretty
they,
great.
They kind of trick you in the beginning because he kind of got, hurt there.
But then you notice
And
it's
they
the wrong
ask
eye.
and they ask him about the eye, and he's like, "Ah, it's all right," And I thought that was it right there, but no. Later, it's just the
Yeah.
cat scratches the eye.
God, just thinking about getting
Yeah.
scratched in the
Yeah.
eye, that's just...
It's also just like some weird things. Like
Ugh.
I guess. I mean, it's a little bit of a throwaway moment, but I liked it. Nick Fury getting the idea for the Avengers initiative from her. I'm like, I mean, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I love that they, because what do you have typed up initially?
it's like the defense
Protector.
the protector.
Protector. Yeah, and I love that they didn't show what he was typing.
I mean,
but
you
knew what he was
you
typing.
know.
I mean,
because-
it
it's like,
hints at it
yeah.
when it shows the photo before he
Yes,
starts.
but I just I like.
and then the
how they
Avengers
did that.
theme pops up, and I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, good movie. Definitely go watch it.
That was a good movie. Yeah, there's a lot of cool moments. I mean, Jude Law in this movie.
Jude Law only is
He's good.
only ever Jude Law
Yeah,
in most movies he's in.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's fine. Some people can get away with that.
yeah. He was fine. Yeah, I think it's an exciting movie to watch for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite of the year so far, out of the 3 movies I've seen.
Yeah, fair point. But don't worry, they're all coming out in like the
Yeah.
next 3 months.
Yep.
There's a lot
There's
of movies
us.
coming out.
There's
dude.
us.
Shazam.
Shazam. Endgame. Godzilla.
Just bring on Endgame.
Then in May, you got John Wick.
Yeah, I need to watch the first 2, and then I can watch.
You all
What?
disappointed.
You haven't seen?
I haven't seen
I
either
haven't
of them.
seen either of them either.
Yeah, they're both...
I need to do that.
There's a television over there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a TV there. There's beer in my fridge. That's just.
And
just
we got
not how it
a
should
long
happen.
night.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good year for movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good one too.
Yeah,
Anything else?
that's all I got.
That's it, folks.
Man,
Yeah, let us know what you think of Captain Marvel. Thanks for watching or listening. See you later.